Eileen, we have been through a journey together, and your strength and determination are inspiring. Paul's legacy through this bill, Senate Bill 37, will be a beacon of protection for every driver and passenger on Pennsylvania's roadways. And that's what this is about. The thank yous are endless, and I know I'm going to forget someone somewhere, but I know so many people helped. A very special thank you to our Transportation Secretary, who you'll hear from, Secretary Mike Carroll, who was one of the first House Transportation chairmen, along with Representative John Taylor at the time. I see Linda Culver, Senator Culver, shaking her head, yes, she remembers, to run this legislation out of their committee, which was a breakthrough at that time and has been very supportive over the years. Commissioner Paris, Colonel Paris, and the state police, I thank you always for your great work and for your insistence on this and through the process as well. All of the associations and the agencies who are here, who have written support letters, and lobbyists who have worked diligently over the years to really help and really do a good job of connecting people. This is a team effort. To the many legislators in this room, including Chairman Nielsen on the House Transportation Committee. Where is he? There he is. An amazing person to work with on the opposite side of the aisle, on the opposite side of the building, who really worked very hard to get this over the finish line with me in our divided government. Thank you. Representative Mullins and Representative Maligari, thank you for your continued support and teamwork on this as co-sponsors in the House and everything you did also to help. And I see Representative Bullock next to them as well. Thank you very much for your work on this too. To my Senate leadership, Joe Pittman and Kim Ward and their staffs, thank you very much for all of your support in this difficult endeavor to make this work. To my staff all over here, from district to the Capitol, thank you. It was a continuous work and effort every session. And to all the legislators that supported their initiative with their votes, thank you very, very much. God bless you all. We are on the way to making Pennsylvania roadways much safer due to Senate Bill 37. Thank you very much, and I'm going to kick this over to Representative Nelson at this time.
So I'm Napoleon Nelson from Montgomery County. It is an honor to represent both my community, but as I always say, I have 64,000 residents in Cheltenham, Jenkintown, and Springfield, and they elect me to help represent 12.9 million Pennsylvanians. And this gets to be one of those moments. I will say on behalf of the Legislative Black Caucus and Latino Caucus and AAPI Caucus, we stand here in partnership celebrating this milestone achievement for Pennsylvania. This work was not mine that I inherited, or this is work that I inherited from, again, the aforementioned prior chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, Donna Bullock, who has been not only a champion of this work in ensuring that we are investing in community safety, but knowing that we must do so with transparency. As we all know, a key component of this legislation ensures that there is more reporting of traffic stops and traffic stop data so that we understand that when these interactions happen, when law enforcement finds and feels need to ensure roadway safety, that they are not doing so at the risk of marginalized communities. In fact, this law is a shining example of responsible legislation that will both improve public safety and enhance transparency. I cannot stress enough the importance of that both and clause, because in this session, we will not sacrifice justice and the freedoms of historically marginalized and over-policed communities in the name of public safety, for there is no safety there. Nor will we cede our responsibility to protect our residents and bind the hands of law enforcement strictly in the name of civil rights, because there is no civility there. What will be Act 18 is an impactful example of our responsibility and capacity to do both. So on behalf again of the House here in the Pennsylvania legislature, on behalf of our Speaker, who was a similar strident supporter of both components of this legislation, on behalf of so many in our communities back at home who will now wonder what this means. We say we are ensuring that our roadways are safer. We are ensuring that folks are able to walk, ride bicycles, drive and share the road appropriately, and we are ensuring that you can do so knowing that we are all watching, that transparency is important, that accountability is critical, and that not only the legislature, but our law enforcement partners who stood by us, stood with us, and supported this important component of this bill also agree with these statements. The importance of that both-and clause is incredible, and this bill is a marked example of what we can and will continue to do here in Harrisburg. So thank you so much.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Carroll, the PennDOT Secretary. And today is both celebratory and somber. Eileen's advocacy through all these years is just remarkable. And her efforts in the success of the passage of this bill, the governor's signing, will save lives. Tragically, an accident in the Poconos on Route 33 set in motion Eileen's advocacy. And I know her efforts will make a difference on the highways across our Commonwealth. I thank Eileen and Paul for Eileen and her husband for their advocacy in memory of Paul. I thank Senator Brown for her tremendous advocacy and stick-to-itiveness to get this to the finish line. And of course, I thank Governor Shapiro for his leadership in making sure that PennDOT did their part to advocate for the passage of this bill. I'm proud to be here today. I'm proud of Eileen's efforts. This bill will save lives across our state. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to turn the podium to my friend, Colonel Paris.
Thank you very much, Secretary Carroll. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. The Pennsylvania State Police serves as the primary enforcement agency for more than 1,300 municipalities across the Commonwealth and provides part-time police coverage for an additional 400. PSP patrols more than 60,000 miles of highways and roadways across our Commonwealth, and our main goal is to make those highways safer. Troopers work to ensure the safety of motorists by enforcing traffic laws and, when necessary, getting dangerous drivers and vehicles off our roadways. When dangerous driving behaviors result in crashes, troopers often provide medical care to the injured and, sadly, must deliver death notices to the families of those killed. All too often, we see crashes caused when drivers become distracted by their phones. Whether texting, typing, or talking, this is a dangerous behavior to engage in while driving. You are putting yourself, your passengers, and everyone on the road around you at risk. A quotation that we hear frequently, quote, "I only looked away for a second," close quote. Consider this. A vehicle traveling at 65 miles an hour will traverse 95 feet in 1 second. 1 second is more than enough time to cause a crash, a permanent injury, or end a life. This legislation will allow law enforcement officials to ticket motorists when using handheld devices, a dangerous behavior that puts themselves, other motorists, and pedestrians at risk. Public education will be a key component of this new law. Public information and community services officers within the Pennsylvania State Police will conduct educational outreach to remind motorists that driving with a cell phone in your hands is now considered a primary offense. It is primary that drivers of all ages, from the newly licensed drivers to senior, more experienced drivers, become familiar with this new law. Until this education takes place, what do we recommend today? Number one, go hands-free. The easiest way to do this is leave your phone in your pocket, your handbag, your center console, or your glove compartment. Take advantage of your phone's voice assist features. If you don't know how to access them, now would be a good time to learn. If you have young drivers in your household, talk to them about the dangers and consequences of distracted driving. Set a good example by putting your phone down while in the car. And finally, remember to always keep your eyes on the road and your hands upon the wheel. Becoming familiar with this new law and following these simple tips, you can do your part to make Pennsylvania's roadways safer. I must tell you, on a very personal note, I've had the pleasure of knowing Eileen and Paul Miller since 2015 when I was the troop commander in Troop R, Dunmore. It is not an easy thing to knock on the door of someone's house and deliver news that before you, in that split second, shatters them into a million pieces. Yet, despite that, their advocacy has brought us here today, and it's my honor to share this podium and introduce Eileen Miller. Thank you very much.
Finally, after 12 years, we did it. We did it. It's been a long road. I never thought it would take this long. But thank you to the amazing people that supported me in this building. Behind me, my amazing support team. Ed, Representative Nielsen, I'm sorry. I got to know these people, so they're like my best friends. When I walk into the building at the Capitol, everybody knows I'm here. They're like, she's in the building, watch out. So Senator Rosemary Brown, there's not enough words to say to you from that moment I met you. I kind of stalked you. I knew that you would be the one, and I was so right. I knew you were a mom. I knew that you would be the one to do it. I kept hounding you to say to do it when you were elected in. You knew I was going to other states to get legislation passed in other states. I was going to distracted driving summits knowing that they were getting it in other states, and I kept coming back to you saying, this is what they're doing, why can't Pennsylvania do it? And I knew that you would be the one. I just didn't think it would take this long. But never give up. This legislation, like I said, when Paul passed away, when unfortunately the two Dunmore state troopers came knocking on my door to tell me that my son was killed, I did not know it was distracted driving at the time. They came to tell me that my son had passed away in a crash. A semi-truck driver had crossed over 2 lanes of grassy medium and hit him head-on, pushing him into an embankment. Behind him was a van with 12 other people in it. 3 of them were life-flighted, the rest were all injured, and my son was the only one dead at the scene. Last time I saw my son was the day before at 3 o'clock, and my son was going to become a police officer. His whole life, that's all he ever wanted to do. My son did everything right, and somebody else was the one who was the cause of my son's demise. I whispered in the ear of my son at the morgue, who I couldn't even identify. I didn't even know that it was him. He was that bad. But I whispered in his ear that when I found out what had caused that crash, and I would find out, that I would fight for change. And we later found out that it was distracted driving. And I held that honor to him. And today is Paul Miller's law. I got it done, Paul. I did it. But this is not just for Paul. This is for every family that is in Pennsylvania that doesn't have to have 2 state troopers knocking on their door to tell them that their loved one was killed by something so preventable as distracted driving. And these are preventable, and these are crashes. There's no reason why anybody should be driving down the road with their phone in their hand. That phone call could wait. Pull over. There's no reason why somebody should die because of a phone call, a text, a Snapchat. There's nothing so important. Pull over. In my case, since my son died, I don't even have my phone on in the car. So this legislation is a step in the right direction. But honestly, even hands-free is not right. I would like to tell everybody today, you really should turn all technology off and just drive. There's no reason why your phone should be on. You should never have to go and visit your loved ones at a morgue where you can't even identify them. So Pennsylvania, this is a step in the right direction, but honestly, really, no technology is worth losing a loved one over. Nobody should have to lose a child, a brother, a sister, a mother, or father because of a cell phone. So technology is there in your vehicles, it's just where you use it. So many people in this room, I can't even thank you enough to each and every single one of you, and thank you, Governor, for your support. He was on legislation even before Paul got killed, so I knew he would sign it into law. So today, everybody, I'm so overwhelmed with emotion, but this isn't the end for me, so don't think I'm getting out of the building easily. You all know it. I'll be back. And to my husband, thank you, and I'm so glad you're still alive. My husband, a year after Paul got killed, was diagnosed with ALS, so we don't just lobby for distracted driving, ALS as well. And he's still here 12 years later, still fighting ALS. I love you, Paul. And we did it. We got it. There he is. And the wonderful Governor Josh Shapiro.
You're amazing. A mother's love right there, right? Eileen, thank you. Thank you for your tireless advocacy. Thank you for your love, not just of your son, but of all the sons and daughters across this great Commonwealth. I know you and your family experienced unimaginable tragedy and grief, yet through it all, you have drawn on an incredible well of strength inside of you to fight for and succeed in delivering meaningful change. Today, Eileen, would not be possible without your tireless efforts and without your advocacy, and we thank you dearly. Thank you very, very much. Eileen, you with an assist from so many people in this room, who, by the way, Rep. Nelson, all seem to be from northeastern Pennsylvania, except for us. You have managed to keep Paul's memory alive, and indeed his memory is a blessing unto all Pennsylvanians. We would not be here today without Eileen, certainly. We also wouldn't be here without Senator Rosemary Brown. And I want to say thank you to Senator Brown for taking on this cause, to lead the effort to get this legislation across the finish line with bipartisan support. Paul's legacy matters here. Eileen, your efforts matter. And Senator, your strong leadership matters. And we thank you very, very much for your leadership. Thank you. The senator acknowledged in her comments that we indeed are a divided legislature, the only divided legislature in the entire country. And I know I can speak for her in saying this required a bipartisan group of lawmakers to come together to see this get done. Many lawmakers are here, but I do want to specifically thank Chairman Ed Nielsen for your tireless work here. We appreciate you very much. And together with the other chairs of the transportation committees, your colleague Carrie Benninghoff, Senator Langerholt, and of course Senator Flynn, another Northeastern PA guy who joined us, the chairs of the Transportation Committee made sure this process kept moving and this bill could reach my desk for signature. Senators and representatives of both parties again came together and proved that this building could work to deliver common sense legislation and common sense change in Pennsylvania. I know well the work that it took for all of us to get here today. It was referenced before by Eileen, but back when I was a state representative, about 2 decades ago now, it's hard to believe, I sponsored similar legislation to ban distracted driving after meeting a young woman named J.C. Good. In 2008, J.C. was driving home to Lancaster County
after graduating from Muhlenberg College. She and her family had just packed up all the stuff she had in her dorm and celebrated her amazing accomplishment. And then they hit the road. She had the job that she was excited about all lined up, and she couldn't wait to get home and get started. But during that 90-minute journey following her graduation, a distracted driver ran a red light, causing a tractor trailer to swerve and then to crash into the car carrying JC and her parents. Both of her parents died at the scene that day. That day that should have been joyous was a day marked with tragedy. And JC was left that day permanently disabled because of that crash. But despite all of that, like Eileen, JC fought for change. I was inspired by JC's story, inspired by the stories that I've heard from Pennsylvanians all across this Commonwealth. And I want you to know that while that experience was 16 years ago, just 2 years before the tragedy that took Paul Miller's life, it still feels like it was yesterday. People like JC and Eileen, well, they never, ever, ever gave up. And thank God they didn't. We're all better off because of their determination. And today, thanks to that determination, we are now in a position to make our roads safer, saving other Pennsylvanians the pain of such profound loss. With this bill that I'm about to sign today, Pennsylvania will finally pass a distracted driver ban. In 2023, distracted driving accounted for over 11,000 car crashes across Pennsylvania, surpassing even the number of alcohol-related crashes. And we've already seen in other states that have passed a similar ban, we have seen a meaningful decrease in distracted driving and in road deaths. We know that it works. You know, I've met too many people like JC who have to live the rest of their lives with injuries because they were hit by a distracted driver. Too many families like Eileen who have an empty seat at the dinner table because of distracted driving. It doesn't have to be this way. And thanks to the group that is assembled here today, it won't be that way as much anymore in Pennsylvania, because today that finally changes. When I sign Senate Bill 37 into law, that change will come about. And this piece of legislation, which will forever be known as Paul Miller's Law, will ban the use of cell phones and other handheld devices while behind the wheel. Now, drivers will have to use hands-free technology like Bluetooth to be able to use their phones as safely as they can. You heard it from the mom earlier today. You still need to be careful with your technology. And we're going to make sure that folks get accustomed to not picking up those phones in the first place. But anyone who unlawfully uses a cell phone while driving will now be subject to tickets and fines from state and from local municipal police. We are finally today empowering our state and municipal police with common sense legislation to stop distracted driving and to keep our roads safer. And thanks to an amendment championed by Representative Bullock, Representative Nelson, and the entire legislative Black Caucus, we're also requiring our law enforcement to collect data on traffic stops they make for distracted driving. We will increase transparency and ensure accountability at traffic stops while providing crucial public safety data to keep our roads safer. And we're building on the great work that Colonel Paris and the state police have done, who authorized an independent analysis of traffic stop data and released one of the most comprehensive data collection efforts on traffic stops in the country. Commissioner, Colonel, we are grateful for your leadership in this space and grateful for the partnership that you showed with the Legislative Black Caucus, which enabled us to reach this day. Thank you very much, Colonel. And so today, we stand in a position to make our roadways safer and to do so in a way that is transparent and fair. Look, this is an example of what we can accomplish when we work together, Democrats and Republicans, coming together to get common sense things done to make Pennsylvanians' lives just a little bit better. I hope that we can continue that spirit of collaboration and compromise over the next few weeks and months and years to come. I hear the chuckling from some of you, but I do know it is possible. One thing that is certain in this building with this divided government is no one's ever going to get everything that they want. Everyone's going to have to compromise, but compromise is how we make progress for the good people of Pennsylvania. Compromise is how we make our roadways safer. Compromise is how we hear the pleas of a mom that are ultimately going to save the lives of other children across this compromise, across this Commonwealth. Compromise is how we get things done. I couldn't be more proud to serve as the governor of this Commonwealth. And in the memory of JC's parents, of Paul, and so many others whose lives are no longer with us, but whose memories endure, I will now sign this bill and make our roadways safer in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
You got a couple more. Yeah.